Hi, I'm Ofentse Pitse. I'm an orchestra conductor and arranger, an architect, a dreamer of a mad dream, and an all-round creative. And representation for me means that we rise by uplifting others.
So welcome back to another interview where representation matters. We're doing it for Women's Month on the Forbes and Fix show. My name is Fixie, and I'm very excited about today's guest. Ofentse Pitse is the first Black South African woman to own and conduct an all-Black orchestra, and that is a big deal. I think first let's get straight into it. Who is Ofentse?
Ofentse is a dreamer of a mad dream, a seeker, a person who loves stretching themselves. I think maybe I'm also quite inquisitive, and that has led me to spaces that I've never even imagined that I'd be in, just because I always wanted to ask. I always wanted to find out. By profession, I'm an architect. I'm an architectural technologist, actually. I'm still pursuing my PhD. I'm a creative. I'm an artist. I draw, I paint, I sketch. And then there's the music thing. I happen to be a conductor, music conductor. I also do arrangements, so I co-arrange as well. So in a nutshell, that's who Ofentse is.
Let's just talk about the huge stigma that being Black and being a conductor, and why this has only been a predominantly white space. When you got into this, did you want to be a conductor? Did you ask yourself the question, why does no one look like me?
Yes, actually I did, and I saw that there was no representation, and for me it was such a wild concept, because I was like, orchestras and classical music has been there for centuries and centuries. How come we're still having this conversation in at the time it was 2018? So for me, the dream was not to become a conductor. I think it just fell on my lap, because it was almost like, okay, who's going to start? So it started as a trial and error, and the first rehearsal, it was like just a group of 6 of them. Just six brass player members, most of them my friends. And then after that, it grew, and then I was like, okay, I need to step up. So it was really just the I need to step up thing. It wasn't part of my journaling to say that I want to be the first conductor, I want to be conductor. For me, it was I want to be the person who gives them the platform.
And what would you say the reaction was as soon as you stepped up to the plate?
It's still a very patriarchal environment. So it was like, what is this young girl doing? Who does she think she is? But because I had already gotten learned from, the architecture, the built environment, and then, when you go to a construction site, you always have to put your A game, because there's a group of guys there, and older guys who have been there for years. So for me, I affirmed my space, or my placement, I think, from the architectural space. So I wasn't scared. It was okay, I need to learn more. So I was not shaking. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is happening now. We have to rise to the place. So in terms of affirming my position and taking that leadership role, that came quite easy for me.
Wow. This leads me to my next question about insecurities that you had to deal with. As you said, it is a patriarchal space. What insecurities, I think, firstly, based on the color of your skin, being a female, and just being in the space that you're in, did you have to deal with?
And I'm still dealing with it, like the insecurities, because it's such a mammoth task, Fix, because it's almost like I'm trying to do something that has that a lot of the big guys have failed to do. I've had conductors message me and say that you're doing something that we have failed to do, and these are like conductors not even from South Africa. And for me, it's like, am I even good enough? What if I miss a beat? What if I miss a note? What if I don't hold my baton right? So you become a bit self-conscious, because you know that so many eyes are looking at you. Also, there's eyes of that wish you well, but there's also eyes that want you to fail. They just want you to just miss a semi-quaver beat, and that would end your career. So it's a constant battle of trying to be better than good enough.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And did you at any stage feel like the insecurities were more coming from within? So it was more like, what if I mess up, like you're saying? Or did you feel like there was this, the support was enough?
I think it's from within, and it's something that I deal with, and mental health is very important in this space, because we give so much of ourselves that it's just like, okay, after a concert, after a rehearsal, after recording, what is left for me? So it's something that I see my therapist almost like every once a week, if not every second week, because we're dealing with the inner man, and that's important, because if I'm taking such a leadership role as leading an orchestra, the main principle with it's not even me being a conductor, it's me being a leader. So how do I become a leader? How do I assert myself? How do I empathize with the members, but still, stand my ground. So it came from within, and it's from as a little girl, because I was always ousted for wanting to be different. I was always ousted for going to or wanting to go to a better school, and coming from the neighborhood that I was coming from, Ikas, and it was just like, you think you're better than us, and having to wake up at 5:30, I was already waiting for a taxi to go to school. And that created, she thinks she's better than us. So from a young age, I was battling with okay, is it me? Do people don't like me, or are they intimidated by what I exude? So those things, I could say that it's more internal, because outside, I think there is enough support. Most people marvel at what I'm doing, but sometimes I'm like, am I even enough? Am I even good enough for this position?
I think that is something a majority of women deal with. Imposter syndrome is definitely a huge part of our lives. And it's affirmations like I am enough that help us to continue being us, and the support of other women. Do you have an idol, someone that you look up to that was in that space?
There was. So there's this conductor called Gustavo Dudamel. He is the conductor for the LA Philharmonic Orchestra. He was the first conductor that I saw that was flamboyant. He smiles when he conducts. His hair flicks as he conducts, and he's having fun. So LA Philharmonic, he conducts the most of the music for Disneyland, I guess. So you can see the imagery is fun, lively. So for me, it broke the barrier of what a conductor was, because you've only seen conductors having, a very straight face, sometimes emotionless. It's just their hands moving, and then for me it was like, these people look so miserable. So when I saw Gustavo, and he was so playful, and he's smiling, it sort of like gave me an imagery of the joy of what could be in music. And that for me is what has propelled me to where I am, to find me being an individual, because I cannot be a Tchaikovsky, I cannot be a Schubert, I cannot be a Mozart, but I have to be an Ofentse.
That is such a strong statement that you've just made there, and I hope it makes it into the history books. You know what? We're putting it out there. It's going to make it into the history books. Those Mozart's name, I want Ofentse to be one of those
Yeah.
names that we speak of in 100 years' time. What's
Yeah.
next for you?
Well, this time has allowed me to heal, to rest, to rise. We are currently working on or trying to, bring an amazing project to life. I cannot, share more details, but it's going to be phenomenal. And also, I'm learning because for me, it's good to be the first, and the only or whatever. But for me, it's wanting to be the best. So I
Wow.
want to be the best, I want to be the best, with my male counterparts, and so that it's not like, oh, she's young, she's black, she's female. It's just like, she's badass. So that's what I'm really working towards right now.
I absolutely love what you're saying. With all these interviews I'm doing, Beyonce, I hope you are watching. These are the girls that should have been in your Black is King
Mm.
docu. You, when you do
Yeah,
the sequel, I'm just
yeah,
saying, here they are.
yeah.
I've got
Yeah.
I've got one more question for you. Why does representation matter to you?
Oof. Representation means a seat. It means a seat at, not even at the table, but a seat at a table. What I've discovered is not to aspire too much to be on other people's tables, and then to sort of like believe in oneself enough to create our own table. So representation means that, and it also means that we rise by uplifting others. We rise by taking others with us, because you cannot be on the table just feasting on your own. And for me, it's been taking Africa with me, looking at the idea of the orchestra. So for me, the whole thing that made me fall in love with an orchestra is, how can we make this African? I've never seen it in Africa. How would it sound if it was African? How would it look if it was African? Imagine indigenous African instruments being incorporated in the sound, so creating something out of this world. So for me, that is what representation means.
That is absolutely beautiful. You are beautiful. You are a
Thank
visionary. You are
you.
a dreamer, and you need to continue on with that because you are going to change Africa,
Thank you.
particularly in that music world. You will definitely. So, I only see big things happening for you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
I acknowledge you so much. I honor you. All the power within you. Yes, Queen.
Thank
Ladies
you.
and gentlemen, Ofentse.
Thank you so much.
5FM. Watch 5FM TV on YouTube. 5FM.